Google's business model was under attack again this week, with a broad coalition of privacy-oriented tech firms asking regulators to take a stand against the collection of data from across websites and services, enabling dominant platform actors to abuse their positions by giving preference to their own services. Google wasn't named, but then naming Google wasn't really necessary. The campaign was organized by Chrome rival Vivaldi, which recently described Google's secretive new web tracking as a nasty, dangerous step that harms user privacy. This has been a tough few months for Google as Apple has eroded its ability to harvest data from its billion-plus iPhone users, with surveillance advertising increasingly in the crosshairs. A bright light is now shining down on data harvesting, and it's much more difficult for its leading protagonists to find new places to hide. As I've commented before, while Apple versus Facebook, Cook versus Zuck, came to personify 2021's privacy battle, it's really the philosophical standoff between Apple and Google that carries most significance. Yes, Facebook put on its hard hat and took the early flack from Apple's privacy labels and app tracking transparency, but Google is just as heavily impacted, its iOS apps just as errant. The irony that Apple's crackdown has upped the value of Android users to advertisers should be lost on no one. When I advise iPhone, iPad and Mac users to switch from Google apps to alternatives, it isn't because Android users are not equally, actually much more, impacted by Google's data harvesting, it's that they should take this for granted, where at least Apple's user can exercise enlightened choice. Back in March, when Google fired up its giant PR machine to push its privacy-first web message, eyebrows were quickly raised. And then came FLOC, described as creepy, a terrible idea, a nasty data harvesting venture. This quasi-anonymous data harvesting landed so badly it has sent Google back to the drawing board. One of the most serious issues with FLOC has been Google's decision to trial the technology on millions of real-life users, enabling it on their browsers without letting them know, without a warning, an opt-in or even instructions on how to opt out. This has resulted in serious confusion around who might impacted. Those in Europe, where GDPR protections apply, are not impacted yet. But elsewhere, while it's obvious that users of Chrome on PCs, Chromebooks and Android devices are at risk, what about Apple's more locked-down ecosystem? Researchers have found fragments of FLOC logic in Chrome iOS binaries. So, are you at risk from FLOC on your iPhone? Not just yet, you're not. Due to Apple's requirement that all browsers on iOS use their WebKit rendering engine and JavaScript engine, Google confirmed, eventually, after I asked for clarification. Chrome for iOS cannot use the Chromium engine. That means that it is significant additional work to port FLOC specifically for iOS.